What if the system that governs the world is breaking open from the inside? I'm not talking about a conspiracy, nor about fringe internet theories. I'm talking about a rigorous, data-backed analysis that points to something that more and more people feel, even if they cannot articulate it: that the great global institutions created after World War II are undergoing a silent yet accelerating collapse. Today, we dig deep into this explosive topic: the unraveling of the post-war consensus, the real origin of COVID and how it was concealed, the questioning of climate dogma, and why the United Kingdom is sinking while the United States is booming. All of this through the thinking of Matt Ridley, evolutionary biologist, writer, and member of the British House of Lords, one of the most provocative and fascinating thinkers of our era. In the minutes to come, I'll summarize it all for you, in depth and with real data. Get ready, because this is going to challenge many things you had taken for granted. Let's begin. After 1945, the UN, the WHO, and the IMF were created to prevent another war. The logic was simple: if countries cooperate under global institutions, we will avoid another devastating conflict. And for decades, that architecture worked. But something changed. Today, those same institutions are crumbling. The US left the WHO, cut funding to the UN, and abandoned the Paris Agreement. This is not an isolated political whim. It is the symptom of a deep legitimacy crisis. Matt Ridley explains it clearly. These organizations have become technocratic, top-down, designed to impose solutions from above, ignoring how complex systems work in reality. Ridley is a thoroughly convinced social Darwinist. Bottom-up systems, those that arise spontaneously from the lower levels, consistently and reliably exceed those designed and imposed from above. The free market allocates resources far more efficiently and effectively than any central planner. Evolution produces organisms that are more fully adapted than any intelligent design. Even the English language spread and extended its reach without anyone planning. But the so-called expert class does not learn this lesson. Their incentives are badly aligned. They prioritize expanding their budgets, maintaining their power, and protecting their narratives about the honest search for truth. The result is a completely pervasive and generalized distrust. People no longer trust institutions that failed spectacularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, and they have solid, well-founded reasons for that distrust. The gravest case of this egregious institutional corruption is the origin of COVID-19. For many months, the official narrative was clear: a bat in a wet market in Wuhan, as initially reported. But real, solid, accumulating evidence pointed in another direction at this time. The Wuhan Virology Institute carried out gain-of-function research, experiments designed to make viruses more transmissible among humans. Top Western scientists, together with the World Health Organization, knew this, and they chose to conceal it to avoid complicating diplomatic relations with China. The leaked internal messages are devastating and alarming. Researchers privately admitting the plausibility of a lab escape while publicly denying any possibility. As one of them literally said, science had become politics. This is perhaps the most dangerous crisis of our era. When scientific institutions lose credibility, society loses its epistemic compass. Later, Ridley proceeds to challenge, question, and undermine the climate consensus. And this is precisely the point at which the discussion becomes more controversial and sharply divided. The famous chart, the one that has come to be known in public discourse as the hockey stick, which illustrated temperatures that had remained relatively level for centuries before a sharp upward leap in the 20th century, became the emblem of the climate movement. But independent statisticians showed, with careful analysis, that the methodology used to construct it was flawed, that it deliberately erased the natural variability inherent in the historical climate, including the medieval warm period, when Greenland supported agricultural colonies. Ridley does not deny that the climate is changing or that humans exert an influence on it. Yet he points to something fundamental. Exaggerating catastrophes serves to generate funding for scientific research. It is a competitive race in which the most alarmist headlines win more financing. And thus, net zero has effectively become a kind of secular religion. Those who question the data or the deadlines are automatically labeled as negationists, a term laden with moral connotations designed to silence rational debate. Britain is the perfect, unequivocal case study of what happens when climate ideology replaces energy pragmatism for policymakers and ordinary families alike. Ridley describes it bluntly. They designed the absolutely dumbest energy system ever imagined. They bet everything on intermittent renewables, wind and solar, without solving storage or backup, leaving consumers exposed to risk. The result is that when the wind doesn't blow or there is no sun, the system collapses and must import energy at sky-high prices, threatening reliability and economic stability. Electricity prices in the United Kingdom are between 3 and 4 times higher than in the United States today. That closes factories, that destroys entire industries, that impoverishes the most vulnerable, and all in the name of saving the planet. While global emissions keep rising because China and India are building a coal-fired power plant every week right now. Meanwhile, the American fracking revolution did exactly the opposite. Cheap energy, emissions reductions by substituting coal with natural gas, massive job creation, and net energy exports for the first time in generations. The equation is simple. Energy equals prosperity. It has always been so. The industrial revolutions were energy revolutions. Modern prosperity depends on access to abundant, cheap energy. The United States is now a net energy exporter thanks to shale and fracking. A revolution no government planned, born of independent entrepreneurs in Texas and North Dakota who experimented for decades. Britain, by contrast, suffers the worst possible mix. Bureaucratic overregulation plus climate dogma. It holds significant shale gas reserves it does not exploit. It could expand nuclear energy, the only low-emission, truly reliable source, but bureaucrats block it with regulations from the 1970s. Ridley is clear. If Britain does not adopt the American bottom-up model, fewer rules, more experimentation, more decentralized innovation, it faces a long, slow decline. And at stake is something larger than energy. The Enlightenment itself, that project of reason, free debate, and empiricism that gave rise to modern science and liberal democracies, is being threatened by the very institutions that should have defended it. And what is the solution according to Ridley? There is no grand technocratic answer, and no master plan designed by Davos elites. The solution is exactly the opposite: markets that allow experimentation, the trial and error mechanism that has solved humanity's greatest problems to date. Energetic pragmatism that recognizes that we need all available sources while we develop the ones in the future. Real accountability for institutions that fail, something that today barely exists. And the end of the model of bureaucracies that fund themselves by sowing fear, which need a permanent crisis to justify their existence in their budgets. Ridley's final message is surprisingly optimistic, and I think it is the most valuable part of the entire conversation. Despite everything we have analyzed, despite institutional failures, corruption in science, and climate dogma, humanity has always solved its great problems. Always. Not thanks to central planners or global technocracies, but thanks to decentralized innovation, to the millions of individuals who experiment, err, and learn. The system fails. Institutions disappoint, but people awaken. And when people awaken en masse, systems change. Do you happen to agree with Ridley's analysis? Do you really think net zero is a real solution, or has it become a secular religion that won't admit debate? Do you think global institutions can reform from within, or is it already too late? I would love to read your opinion in the comments, please. If you found this analysis valuable, please share it with someone you think should That is the very best algorithm there is, indeed. And if you want more analysis, don't hesitate to speak up, and please follow me. Like, if you honestly think that uncomfortable debates are more necessary than ever, and please subscribe so you don't miss the next analysis. See you all soon in the next video.